Hello everyone, this is StrawberryShorty back with the letter. So last time we finished off our Renegade run, and as promised, I have reloaded from the encounter where we got Ashton killed. And chose to pick the other option, and then fast forwarded through Luke's chapter. Everything in Luke's chapter is the same, and we are now at the point where they're holding each other at gunpoint again, so we'll see if this leads to a different ending. Interesting. Gotta admit, I'm always disappointed.
As you should be, my lord.
Let's get these journal entries out of the way. These just, I think, are all... I've expected them to hold until one of us shoots the other. Can't say it'll be more exciting this way. A bullet inside any part of my body isn't something I'd like to have on a bad day like today, or any day for that matter. But it'll surely be predictable of him. And I like predictable. They're the kinds of people who are easiest to deal with no matter the situation. With them, there's no second guessing what they'll do. He shoots, I shoot, one of us dies, the other walks away. Nothing complicated, nothing requiring much brain power, just muscle memory and who's the better shooter, end of story. Yet here he is, dragging a deep breath in and setting aside the only thing protecting him. I can easily shoot him this way, be done with this whole farce of a conversation. Instead, I found myself listening. A concession for a person who, in another life, would have also become the person I am today had his circumstances allowed it. Damn shame. We might have gotten along.
Listen, right. I need you to...
But alas.
You broke into my house, and somehow, you expect me to listen like a good little boy. Are you a bit touched in the head, Feathers? I'm not the one breaking laws here.
Look here, fucker. If I wanted you dead, I could have done it so many times already. In fact, I can easily shoot you down right here, right now.
Still the same text, though.
And you won't be able to do a damn thing, even with that gun.
A meeting of two prideful blokes will never go well, whichever lifetime it is. And I can only laugh at his audacity, his lack of shame and fear, even facing the business end of my pistol.
You know what I'm thinking right now? In another lifetime, we would have probably gotten along well.
The best truth I can offer him, not many people, those who have slighted me in particular, live this long to see it.
And he should be grateful. You're already gracious enough, allowing him to stand in your presence like this.
Yes, especially when he has a lot to answer for. Preferably right now, because as generous as I have been so far, my patience has its limits. My amusement can only last for so long. In 2 steps, I'm standing in front of him, grabbing him by the collar and resting, and resting the cold muzzle of the eagle against his temple. I'll end up a pretty smear on the wall this close.
Teach this loud a lesson.
What is it that you people really want with me? This is the 3rd time this week, and I'm really getting weary of this little game. One last time. Are you with the NCA or are you a hitman? Which one is it, little pig? Mind you, my arm's getting tired. Better answer quick if you don't want to meet the business end of this gun.
And he knows it. Of course he does. He's a trained officer, isn't he? But how many bother to be as cautious as him? One glimpse at my handgun safety earlier is all it took for him to see I mean business. Similar. Too similar. We're too alike in so many little ways it's funny. Down to the fact that he doesn't even flinch no matter how heavy the threats of my words are. Even knowing how one flick of my finger on the trigger will be enough to end his sorry life. He should have caved in by now, started begging like so many others before him. Instead, he throws more vitriol, adds more kindling to a fire already burning.
I'm not with NCA. I'm just here to help. There's something else in this house, and we're all in danger. You have to believe me, right? You need to let us go. You need to get out of here before it's too late.
He says me go, but he said us.
If you want to keep your sorry ass alive, you'll listen to people with more brain cells than you.
Igniting it further that I can't help but return it to him with equal fervor.
We don't need it, my love.
Why, you insolent!
We both just had to move in that moment, both our bodies tensing, each of us racing to get ahead of the other. However, before we can even get a head start, a voice unexpectedly rings above the chaos about to ensue. All at once, everything falls away to the background. All that matters is her.
Hannah? You're not supposed to be here.
For a moment, I wonder if it had been me who had died, not her. After all, that can be the only logical explanation as to why I hardly draw breath while she stands there. Of course, another logical explanation would be that I'm high and this is a really bad trip. Either reason doesn't suit me, though it can't very well be the former. Even from down here, I can see the blood that stains her dress. Seeing that makes me feel as if my hands are covered in them once more. Warm and sticky, sweet and sickly.
Oh, Luke, darling, my love. You look so upset. Are you not happy to see me?
But let's be honest here. Any explanation, any reason as to why a dead woman walks once more is a bad one to me. Especially when it's one that I've killed. I mean, how even?
How can this be? You're...
Do you not find my presence desirable anymore, my love?
What sort of sick joke is
Tell
this?
me what's wrong, my dear prince. Does my presence leave you so speechless?
she says with a smile on her face, stiff and forced. A dead body's parts don't seem as malleable as they would be on a living human. She takes a step forward and her movements are stiff and choppy, like a corpse being forced into position despite the rigor mortis, like the corpse that she should be. I find my voice once more when she takes a careful step forward. Just the thought of that thing approaching me makes my skin crawl. She stops to listen, fixated on my voice and on my words.
No, you're not. You're not supposed to be here. You can't be here. You're dead.
The "I killed you" is left unsaid, considering present company.
And I have returned for you. You don't have to do this. You can still have it all, Luke. Just please. Don't you love me?
I'm not surprised she didn't say she was pregnant during this moment.
We would have been so beautiful.
I can still hear her pleas as she begs me not to be rid of her. Not once have I forgotten this particular crime of my own. No matter how much I wash my hands, I can still see her blood on them. She's dead. That is an irrefutable fact, and nothing short of the devil could bring her back.
Why are you acting this way, my love? Does this not make you happy?
I feel like there's something lodged in my throat, and my heart feels like it's being sat on with how tight my chest feels.
Of course I'm happy to see you again, Hannah. Of course I love you, Hannah. But how do I know you're... How do I know you're you, darling?
Whatever do you mean? You look perturbed. Why not come here? I can make you feel better.
If by act of some malevolent god she was back, I don't think she would take too kindly to what I'd done to her. This certainly isn't what I would expect. Not the fixated gaze or these loving words. There's no accusation in them, no anger, when Hannah has every right to look at me so. My guilt is overshadowed by the oddity of these illogical circumstances.
No. Stay where you are. Stay back. Don't go near me. Don't touch me.
It is that rejection which turns her expression absolutely fearsome, and everything turns to complete and utter shite. Well, they should all be old. To his horror, Hannah, or what used to be her when she was alive, reached out for him, calling him to come to her side. Terrified, Luke recoiled. It was then that the whole house shifted before his eyes. We have to actually look at these or it won't stop saying new. Just the two of us. Hannah's body shudders and shakes as if she's about to have a seizure, until her visage ripples and changes. Golden yellow hair is slowly stained with inky black, and her face melts into that of the woman, the maid from before, with a menacing expression on her face. Along with it is the shifting of the very ground we stand on. It is a slow thing, a whisper more than a bang as the darkness creeps into every corner of the room. The walls shudder and groan, blood runs from the ceiling, crawls down the walls, and stains the floor. I feel as if life itself is being sucked from the house slowly but surely. The beauty of the place is gone, with only the dead, decaying remains of a mansion left in its wake. I don't have to wonder if it is just the foyer that's become this nightmarish place. I can already hear it. Gone are the growling of thunder and the lashings of rain and wind against the foyer's high windows. All of it has been replaced by a more grating sound. A cacophony of voices from nowhere and everywhere, echoing throughout the now horrid walls. Voices that neither belong to us nor the people who live here.
What's going on?
Help! Please!
All throughout the house, shouts of alarm and surprise ring out, a mirror to the horror creeping up in each of us. Who wouldn't be shocked? This is insane. Meanwhile, Feathers holds his ground, brave of him, I have to admit, to not run at the first sight of danger, though it doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't feel the same fear as the rest of us. It's still worded like everyone else is alive, even though it's just us. I'm not sure how he can even keep himself together, though I suppose that's more his training at work, not that he has any other choice in this. There seems to be no end in sight to this insanity. If anything, this only feels like it's the beginning of the end.
Help me. Oh my god. Please, somebody. Anybody. Who are you? Stay away. No. Stay away.
I think that's Johannes.
Stay away.
I'm not afraid of you, you spook!
Rebecca!
This is one Scotswoman. You aren't getting into an early grave without a fight!
No! She's here! You've gotta let me out! She's gonna kill me! Someone! She's...
We would have been so beautiful. Mother of God, pray for us sinners. We're all in danger. I thought you were my friends. Why don't you believe me?
Her screams fill the mansion. She laughs all the while, a harsh, agonizing sound that goes on for what feels like forever. Until there is nothing but silence, her horrid smile and pale hands reaching out to me, calling, beckoning, pleading. I'm terrified, I really am, like I should be, but I have never been one to truly stay afraid. I've long learned that fear will not get me anywhere. Cowering in a corner doesn't keep me safe, and it will not keep me alive. Not like rage does. I've learned to use this burning hate inside of me to survive. There is no difference now.
Stay away from me!
Why do you wish to leave? This is where you belong, my lord. Remember the blood you shed. The very same one that now taints this house, along with many others.
I did not do this, you lie! I did nothing!
What of her then? Your wife, your sunshine. Doesn't her blood already stain these halls?
And your hands.
Stain your hands.
Who called it?
Damn it, right. I knew you were dirty, but
She's lying!
She is not. Words sound familiar. Just a few days ago, I've spouted the same ones to that vile woman who ruined everything. If it weren't for that harlot. But it's no use. A seed has already been planted in his head. Defending myself, especially against the likes of him, is pointless, but you actually did it. Yet I still continue, I'm not even sure why. I can easily dispose of him now that he knows. Somehow, proving the vile creature wrong seems to have heavier weight than the former.
I don't know what she's talking about!
Now you deny it. Pointing fingers, aren't we? You see, my love. No difference. No difference, you and I. Just like the rest of us. Just like every single soul in this putrid wreck.
I think most of them are victims.
We've waited for so long. You can hear them, yes. Their pleas, their calls, their invitation. Come, my lord. The house seeks its master.
She, the monster, reaches out again, her hands a gory, abhorrent sight, along with that smile spread across her face. Her body's already moving on instinct, stumbling back one step at a time in a desperate bid to be away from her. Anything to put distance between me and this vile creature. No matter what she says, I'm nothing like her. I need to get out of this house. Out of this country, preferably. There's nothing for me here, not anymore. Nothing to keep me tied to this place. With Hana gone, Shrokin likely taken by this woman as well, nothing's left to bind me to this wretched city. I can leave, My footsteps on something, sending me sliding onto my back and flat on the floor. Beside me, a paper, a familiar one, flutters down. It's this thing again from the open house, though it feels less like a gimmick and more like a threat, what with recent events. Must have fallen from the detective in the commotion earlier, leaving the damn thing to simply bear its grisly message for everyone in the room to see. Help me, help me, help me. Is this it? What they've been telling us? Everything in my life has gone to shite because of some stupid old letter? An invitation indeed. One I am not willing to accept. Not any time. From the top of the stairs, the creature moves again, drawing my attention back to her. Her gait remains slow and awkward as she walks forward, that smile never leaving her. But I won't give her the chance. I am not dying here. I'm certainly not giving myself to a hideous creature like her, either. Adrenaline kicks in, and despite panic gasps and worried glances from Feathers, I pay him no mind as I reach for the main door, and without warning, it slams open, revealing not the mansion grounds like I am expecting. Before my mind can even comprehend what's happening, black tendrils have already coiled tightly around my limbs, dragging every person in the foyer into the room. None of us even get to scream when darkness completely envelops us upon the doors closing.
Understand where your place is now, my love. You belong here. Is it so difficult to grasp? We've been waiting.
There's a moment of panic when the feeling of the tendrils around my limbs finally dissipates. As soon as my eyes adjust to the darkness of the room and I'm on my feet, I'm reaching for my knife and holding it out, waiting for every movement, using it as a way to put distance between me and this peasant. Who knows what Feathers could do to me? Now that he knows what I've done, there's only two of us in this room. He can easily do anything and the world will not know. Of course, I can easily overpower him, not without some effort, but I can. What if he's in cahoots with the creature, unlike what he has said? Fuck. I cannot trust him not to turn on me. I cannot trust anyone. Not anymore. Not after this. Everything I've built has fallen apart.
You! It is all your fault! If I'm dying to this bloody curse, I'm taking you down with me!
calm down, right? The situation's already bad. You're just making it worse.
You shut your mouth! If it weren't for you, for this letter, none of this would have happened! Hana would still be...
Suddenly, Feather steps up and slaps the knife away from my hand.
Playing the blame game isn't going to get us out of here, right? I'll be more than happy to leave you here, if you want to stay.
Without batting an eye, glaring at me as if he might just rip my head off in this instant, said knife slides uselessly under the table, out of my reach. I should have expected he's not the kind to submit even under threat. This pipsqueak thinks he can intimidate me? Bloody peasant. My hand's already aching just listening to this. Does he take me for someone with half a brain? I should have just stabbed him and made a run for it. Doesn't help that with each second we spend talking here, the crazier this whole place gets. The voices have also become louder and somehow sounding more vicious. If the things in this room start floating, mark my words, I will fucking flip out. Probably nothing new. Yep, hysterical Luke. And he may not be thinking of it right now, but eventually he'll turn on me. Such is the nature of humans. Can't let that happen. Fuck, I still have so much to do. Better find a way out of this place as soon as possible if I want to stay alive. And what else is the source of our problem but that sodding letter? Burning this doesn't seem sound, but who knows? We don't understand a shite about this place. Might as well try everything, yeah? Whatever works. If I also have to be the one to make that bloody decision, so be it. And it's an easy decision to make, especially with these cries growing louder. I'm getting tired of it, really. I simply have to act fast, think fast. What else is the root cause of our problems but that letter? No need to make things more complicated. It started from there, why won't it end there? But the situation can stretch on far too long for my taste. I take out Mom's lighter. The sight of it brings a puzzled expression to his face, but I have no need for his opinion. In the next moment, I'm already setting the letter on fire. Doesn't take long for the king to catch fire. It's old. Let's see. Trying to skip past the parts we've already seen. Burn the paper. Mansion changes back to normal.
See? Wasn't that easy? For fuck's sake, you need to get your poor head checked! How did you make it this far in life with that kind of thinking? Well, you can thank me later for this. You may now show yourself off my property before I call the police on you.
I am the police. I walk out of the study without a single glance back, more than eager to finally get fresh air. He can find his way out of this place, I'm sure. I better not catch him again here, though, or I will not be happy. I'm already being nice as it is. He knows about Hana. Outside there's only silence, deafening. Still, the same hush that comes after a terrible storm has swept the countryside. And with it, from the wide-open windows, is the sight of the sun rising above the horizon. Ever so slowly, the sky begins to lighten before my eyes, darkness giving way to the warm morning hues, soft rays spilling over the vast expanse of Luxborn's countryside. Nearby, the trees sway and wrestle with the breeze, a passing draft that carries even into this room from the outside, cold enough to make me shiver. The remains of a storm that has passed. In the distance, I can hear the soft chirping of birds while the rest of the world stirs, wakes. Dawn at last. We are free. So let's see the epilogues for the two living people. You know, mansion put up back on the market. And the Realty Corporation went under. An investigation headed by LPD's Detective Inspector Ashley Frey, Olive Wright Enterprises' illegal business dealings with its past 10 years come to light. Although his involvement with the other crimes is still being investigated, Hana Wright's death in particular, the disclosure has caused a large outcry from the city's business sector. So on multiple grounds, the company is ultimately forced to shut down. Yeah, and he leaves the city. Empties his bank accounts, no one knows where he is. Heads to Ireland, no one has heard from him. So, Ash. Even with his success in bringing the Luxborn firm case to a close, notably, it's the last one Ashton Frey ever handles. Disillusioned and burdened by the deaths of the people he has failed to save, the detective ultimately gives up his badge and resigns from the police force. To hunt vampires! Although he continues to help former colleagues when requested, he prefers to stay away from the life he once lived. Choosing a quiet life away from the rush and excitement he dreamed of as a child. Every now and then, people may spot him at the local pub, sharing a quiet conversation with a resident bartender, a glass of liquor in hand. Oddly, he never drinks from it, merely staring at the amber liquid before leaving the establishment without a word, taking with him the ghost of a regret he knows he will never be able to make up for. So, we're gonna pause it here, the recording. I have a save before Rebecca's death, so I'm gonna go save her, and then see what happens there. You know, there'll be a lot of skipping, I don't know how much of it I'm gonna show, but be right back. And we're back. So we just escaped outside as Rebecca. And she's talking about the evidence that she found that might help us get out of this mess. If Isabella were watching us right now, I'm sure she'd feel the same. Let's get that. She'd be rooting for us even. Whether this leads to a victory on its own. Yep, called Ash. Gonna meet with Ash. Now we're playing as Ash. I imagine most of this will be stuff we have seen before.
Can't you at least act with a bit more shame?
No, expect us to sit through this again.
Becca, if I find a single scratch on Shirley, there will be hell to pay.
There will be hell to pay, so if so much as harms a hair on either Zach's or Rebecca's heads. I might have already done so with Isabella, and I wasn't able to do a single thing to keep her safe. Can't let the same mistake happen again. I doubt he'll attempt anything in front of other people, though. Okay, I'm gonna pause again, because this is all text we've seen before. And we're back. So, basically it would not skip any of the text we'd already seen before. I don't know if it's because I used a different save file, but that was super annoying. So, all the dialogue was the same. You know, the party, the argument at the party. You know, we went to Isabella's apartment, we called Zach and Becca, we talked to the professor, and now here we are at the police station where we've just been informed of Zach's arrest. And this time, we're gonna call Luke out.
He's innocent!
I'm torn. Let's see. See if that gets us anything new visually. Answers. Oh, more position. I'm not sure what the new part is we just got for him. I'm torn.
You don't believe he's actually capable of doing such a thing, do you? Someone else is responsible for those murders, and you want to put him down? On what grounds? What proof do you have that he's behind those deaths?
But I'm not gonna let Zach go without a
I
fight.
saw him standing over Hana. My dear Hana, she didn't deserve that. But there she was. And I tried to wake her. I tried to save her. But she was already gone. Is that not proof enough? Can I not grieve over my wife's death without being questioned?
Anna Wright is already dead. That doesn't mean Zach has to be the one to pay the price.
Look, I'm not saying what happened to her should be overlooked. I'm telling you that Zach didn't do this. It can't be him. I know it's not him. I swear it isn't. I just need time to prove it isn't him.
That's not what the text says.
Are you saying you know who murdered her?
Yes.
Maybe it's the high intensity of the situation right now. I may be just imagining it, but the way he zones in on me as I say that one word is nerve-wracking. I want to tell him the truth as I know it, to save us all some grief. Of course, the reality of it is, I can't say it's a ghost. They take my badge and put me in a damn jacket.
Well, no.
I'm already wearing a jacket. The way everyone stares at me right now, they're probably considering it already. This guy is a nutter going against Luke right in the open like that. In fact, I'm already preparing myself for the storm that might come from my outburst. Yet instead...
I understand that you're just concerned for the well-being of your friend, but unless you have concrete proof that there's another culprit in these murders, you are simply a man-child throwing a tantrum.
Pot calling the kettle black.
If I were you, I'd pipe down and show some dignity befitting someone holding a badge.
I've expected more, a grand threat about how I should watch my back, but he just has this somber look about him. That did nothing to quell the burning feeling inside me. I'm still angry. I mean, no one really stopped us. My frustration about it all must have shown, because only now do I realize that the other officers have also jumped in to hold me back all this time. They didn't let go of me not until right in the chief were out of my sight, so they really threw that one in last minute. And it's awkward going on from there. The precinct is quiet, that the usual hustle and bustle of activity stayed. Everybody's making a concerned effort to shut their mouths about the whole scene. I wish they'd made the same effort to keep themselves from staring at me, though. They all want to talk about what just happened, but at the same time, they don't want to acknowledge that it did happen and refuse to even make eye contact with me. I don't give any of them the chance to talk to me about it anyway, only leaving a stern order with the nearest officer.
Look out for Zach while he's locked up, will you?
Well, let me skip a bit. Though before I can make it back to my car, my phone rings. A quick glance at the caller ID shows Rebecca's name blinking on the screen. Without wasting any time, I answer the call. However, the tone she assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear.
Are you there?
Well, she's alive. Ragged, a bit out of breath, there's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening to her from my side of the line makes it seem like she's just run a marathon prior to this call.
Becca, where?
I got your message. What happened?
Nothing. Well, Zach's in a bit of a tight spot right now.
Define tight spot in this context, Ash.
I'll tell you about it later. There's nothing we can do about it now. Where are you, by the way?
Oh my. I had to make a quick visit to the library. Listen, Ash. That thing Isabella told us about. There's something you guys need to...
The phone filter suddenly left her voice.
Please tell me you didn't... Whatever. Save it for later. I'll meet you there. This is related to that.
I don't like the sound of that, Ash. But all right. And please, hurry.
Gotcha. Give me a few minutes.
She mumbles a goodbye, then hangs up. Becca's the last person I need to account for, yet that call left something strained in the air. Thankfully, I don't have to linger in it for too long. The drive back to Salem only takes a matter of minutes. I find her pacing in front of Isabella's room, hands clasped tightly in front of her as she treads the small space offered by the hallway. The second she looks up, apologies spill out of her mouth first.
I'm sorry, Ash. I was in a hurry.
It doesn't matter. What's important is you're here.
Not burned to a crisp or brutally murdered somewhere. Whole, alive. Although she seems a bit shaken, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. At least now I can relax, ease the pressure off my shoulders, if only by some.
Anyway, let's head inside. We shouldn't be talking about this out here. You have a copy of her key, right?
We're borrowing Isabella's flat? What is this really about?
No, we can't just meet in Becca's room.
She has some files in there, also related.
She merely nods in understanding.
I hope you know what you're doing.
However, the minute she moves to fish out the key, she winces. A small reaction, but sets a precedence for careful observation nevertheless. A closer look at her reveals a much more disheveled appearance than usual, hair in a bit of a mess, probably flattened in a hurry. The back of her dress also shows stains of dirt in places it rarely would ever get to. She's also leaning more on using her left arm. She's right-handed. Hello, everyone. Sorry for that weird little cut thing there. Someone started calling for me and did not realize I was recording, so I had to try and remove that segment of the video. And FreeMake Video Converter is not working. It keeps prompting me to buy it, which sucks because its site still says it is completely free to use. But it seems like you can't use it at all, so I had to use another program. It took me forever to figure out how cutting in that even worked. And, you know, let's just look at the backlog. Like, yeah, this is all the same stuff we got in the original playthrough, with Rebecca being all dirty and disheveled. So let's just continue from there. Pretty sure a simple trip to the library won't do that. But she never gives me a chance to bring it up. The second we're seated in the tiny living room, she gets straight to the point and asks about Zach. Typical Rebecca.
All right, no more suspense. What happened to Zachary? And I don't want you to mince words. Tell everything as it is.
He's been detained. The police arrested him this morning.
Arrested? Why?
She raises of her eyebrow in question, and I quickly fill her in on what happened. From the moment I've gotten the news, down to the very person at the root of its trouble. She falters the second I drop Scumbag's name, disbelief all over her features.
Are you sure it's him? This must be a mistake.
He seemed like such a nice guy.
Yup, quite sure it's the bastard we saw at the precinct, in all his pompous glory.
What was Zachary even doing in the mansion? Murder? Of Hannah? Are you kidding me? I know Zachary can look a bit intimidating at first glance, but he's not the kind of person who will do those things.
Makes more sense to say that to Luke.
That's exactly what I told the geezers at the precinct, but they won't listen. Apparently they caught him in the act. Of course they won't. They're up against Wright's smug face, for fuck's sake. He's the one who has the money.
I'll talk to him.
Immediately, every thought in my head stops and I stare at her. She can't be serious.
You want to talk to Smugface? To Scumbag?
Yes, I'm sure he'll see reason.
Let me just take this textbook with me. She wastes no time. Ignoring her limbs, she gathers her things and stands up, ready to leave. I grab for her arm before she can walk past, carefully to avoid hurting her, in case there really is an injury. Seems like it at first glance, but you can't be sure until after a careful examination has been made. I suspect some bruising at least. Although minor internal fractures aren't out of the equation, they have a nasty way of staying hidden. That possible injury is the least of my problems right now, not when she's likely planning to march into the Ermengarde mansion just to talk to the guy. And I have a slew of opinions about that plan. I'll say, do you really think
Do you
they'll listen?
really think you'll listen to reason?
We won't know until we try, will we?
I just don't see why she thinks this is a good idea. She was at the party. She saw how the man acted when put on a damn spotlight that shines on everything negative about him. That was worded bad.
Becca, believe me. He's not the kind of person who will. The only thing he'll listen to is the sound of his own voice.
Then I'll say it in his voice.
I've spoken to the guy, Ash. He can be difficult, but he's not as unreasonable as you think.
I don't know where she got that from.
Did it ever occur to you that maybe, just maybe, this might be some sort of misunderstanding?
He just filed a case against Zach this morning.
Well, I'll make him take it back.
I mean, we know that he did the murder, but like, realistically, if he hadn't and he walked into a room to find his wife dead and a stranger in his house, that'd actually be pretty justified in suspecting that.
It's not as simple as you think. That man believes what he's doing is right.
What do you want me to do then? Just stand around and wait for some miracle that'll get Zach out of that cell?
No, I want you to leave it to me and let me handle this.
You're not the only one who can do things here, Ash. Quit playing the damn hero, you're not. You should be thankful someone's even trying to help. This is like that bloody letter again. You kept ignoring people's warnings, and now that we're probably in deep shite, you're taking it all on yourself. Why can't you be glad that people are trying to help you out?
How? By running blindly into things? All I want is for you to be careful.
I know what I'm getting into, Ashton.
That arm injury and the limp tell a completely different story. Please tell me you did not just do something dangerous today.
It was just a trip to the library. Besides, she caught me off guard. What? Did you think I went looking for her with a book in hand? I'm not stupid, Ash. And I'm not just going to stand around while my friend's in jail. I won't let that bloody ghost do whatever she wants to us either. If you can't accept that, feel free to stay the way you are.
She pauses, anger briefly subsiding, then quietly.
Just remember that she has already taken Isabella from us. You're lucky someone's still here.
You're the one who kept brushing all of this cursed thing off. In fact, you're the one who dismissed Isabella first.
She got real muffled all of a sudden. The last one feels like a slap in the face, really. Rebecca has a knack for being brutally honest with her opinions. We've often clashed at times, yet I still respect her for it. Her opinion is as valuable as every other person's I've let into my life, and this time, she's right. I've made a huge mistake. But damn it, I'm trying.
And you didn't? Back at the movie house, you were agreeing with me.
Besides, curse or not, you still should have ran. That woman's not something you can hit with a book.
I did hit her with a book, and I did run.
Believe me, Ashton, I did. Then a bloody cart came out of nowhere. Do you have any idea how painful being hit with one is? But you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, you wouldn't be yelling at me right now. I would be dead.
A sobering silence descends in the room. Instantly, both our angers have tempered as the gravity of that one word hits us. Timeline. Probably seen this one already. To Ashton's relief, Rebecca later called back. He found her at Salem while looking worse for wear, but upon learning of Zachary's situation, she decided to confront Luke Wright, an idea Ashton vehemently opposed. Fortunately, before it brewed into a fight, Ashton had the sense to drop the topic. Dad, how many more close calls do we have to go through? How many deaths do we have to witness? How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this, losing people important to them one by one right in front of them. I've already lost Isabella. Although Zach's not in a better situation, he's alive. I'm not losing him and Rebecca, too.
Let's leave these issues for now. There are some things, a lot of things, you need to know.
Fine then. But if this is going to be long, let me just get something for this bruise.
That marks the end of it, at least for the time being. And as soon as Rebecca returns, we get straight down to business. Surprisingly easy, considering the rigid air of the room. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once what happened last night at BRC has been put on the table. It's actually kind of weird that they're both here. Like, you'd think it would be hard, given this is where they found her body. All at once, everything we've brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed has been laid out for close scrutiny. My own encounters with the woman, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears. The dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us, everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be, logic be damned. Or at least that's what I would like to believe. Yet even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of late afternoon and eventually night, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we're still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than when we've ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head and the sheets of paper I've been holding smack the table harder than I've intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, we simply fall silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the hundredth since this moment.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
If you aren't getting anywhere, maybe you should move on to some other stuff first. Leave it for now. But what are we even supposed to be looking at here?
A pattern, something that might hint a way out of this. The guys from BRC have probably also read that dumb paper. They've been working on the mansion before the open house, but Isabella found it during.
Maybe there's something more to this.
What do you mean?
Becca makes a vague gesture at the paper she's brought, then crosses her arm and leans back on her seat to glare at it. The way she's staring at it, you'd think she wants to set the entire stack on fire.
Apparently, there was some stuff that people haven't been telling us.
You mean our own teachers have been lying to us all this time?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Sighing, I reach for one of the papers Rebecca has brought with her and carefully inspect the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newspaper from even before the city has been founded. It's just a typical newsprint, but my eyes do linger at the illusion of the noblewoman's servant.
Any ideas why they're keeping this in the restricted section?
Rebecca merely shrugs at my inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Why else would these tell a completely different story? Revising what's written seems a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. Will that ever be explained? Thanks to those, we're missing a lot of things here. There's still a gap. A huge one. Even with the information we currently have right now, it still feels like there's something we're overlooking. All we have to go with is the mansion, the letter, and all the stuff selfish people have been keeping from the public. But what else? At present, everything seems to point to where this all started. The Ermengarde mansion. Will bringing the letter back there fix everything? Fuck. How do I? The mansion's a private property now. Can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. After what he did to Zach, not gonna happen. Over my dead body. One thing's very clear after these last 2 days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my friends alive. We can't keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us like she did with Isabella. And damn it, I hope Zach's okay where they're keeping him. There are guards stationed at the holding cells 24/7, but you can't be sure. This is a ghost we're up against. Before anything happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed, time to let everything sink in, or else we'll all burn out. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in Rebecca's eyes when she looks up at me, waiting.
We've been at this for hours. We should take a break for a few.
This is the wardrobe thing again. All at once, Rebecca's on her feet while I quickly palm for my gun on the table.
Ashton, that might be...
Gather everything.
No questions asked, she wastes no time getting to work, piling the documents we've been reading through. Before she can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place.
I have everything. Well, we should just...
Word is she as she immediately stops at the slight raise of my hand, but the edge is there while she huddles in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whenever I find inside, she has enough time and space to run from their position. I glance at Rebecca, nod. Nothing's in there. Confused, I glance back towards Rebecca, only to see her mirroring the same expression on my face. It was finally stopped.
We should go, Becca. We need to... Ah!
Woman grabs our leg and pulls us down.
Ashton! Snap out of it!
Well, that's not Rebecca, that's Isabella.
Becca, out! Get out! Get out of here!
Okay, we flee the room with Rebecca. In the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing for Rebecca's arm and leading her out. Okay, we flee the car. Okay, let's check the journal. Yep, same thing. Okay, at the fountain, looking at her gun. With all the good things, the quiet surely comes to an end. Not necessarily a bad end, because we still have a friend alive. The sound of her footsteps reaches my ears first, halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find her, Rebecca, just as she enters the park grounds, back as a convenience store, food in hand. Well, she's not going to be able to blame Isabel and get in a fight with her this time, so... After last night's flight from Salem, well, we've elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will be safe. Normally, we'd all be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted that decision. It's not like we've gotten an ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance one of us did, it lasts still at only a second. Or it's a fitful one. Looking at her right now from afar, it's easy to mistake her for someone who's simply out for an early morning stroll. Her steps are careful and slow as she walks, the expression on her face relaxed, if not unfazed. Her trips fill the atmosphere with light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. It's easy to pretend we're not knee-deep in a life-and-death situation the way she acts now. Easy to forget we've lost someone. Or one of us is being framed for a crime he likely didn't commit. If anything, it's only her appearance that betrays that mask, slightly disheveled, bags under her eyes, an exhausted curve in her shoulders, and dragging footsteps. But the closer she gets, the more obvious these signs are to the naked eye. She passes an energy drink my way the moment the distance allows it, and hands me the other bag she's holding before seating herself on a bench nearby. The scent of warm food immediately wafts from the bag when I open it, carried further by a passing breeze. Whatever sweet sauce they dribbled out of this pork wannabe, it smells heavenly. Hell, even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what it is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought. I dig in without waiting for her to start, although she appears to be of the same mind too, and soon enough she also starts with his. No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we are, food is something we can't forgo. Let's drink some energy sheep. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body. If we are to survive this, we're gonna have to take care of ourselves first. It's one thing Zach will likely remind me of. Isabella would never let me hear the end of it either if she were still here. In a matter of minutes, we're done and dumping the empty cartons on a nearby waste bin. Although with it is the shift in the mood. Back to dismal. Back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I've missed these kinds of moments between us. We never had the chance, always busy on some project or work. Things we've taken for granted, now we're realizing how valuable they are. With one of us no longer here and the other stuck in a jail cell, the world has an awful sense of humor. While the one we've just had is short-lived, it's another thing I want to look forward to. If we ever free ourselves from this damn curse, I'd like to believe there's a way. For now, we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring these up, but necessary.
Where do we go from here, Ash?
It's an innocent question at best. But he looks to me as if my face had all the answers in the world. Why do we keep misgendering Rebecca? I used to think so, back when I was at the top of my game and was still sure of everything. Now it's just uncertainty sullying whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has simply stopped working here, and we started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue, and stress, we have enough kindling to get a fire burning. The not-so-pleasant kind of fire. There's just two of us. Are we still gonna
Can't
fight?
stay here. We'd be sitting ducks if we remain in one place.
Alright, so we just keep running like this?
We don't have much of a choice, Becca. Even our own homes aren't safe. Anytime, that woman, that thing might get us. Fuck. A zombie apocalypse would be better than this.
Not what the line says, Ash.
It still doesn't change anything. You just said it. Nowhere's safe. But dying is the last thing I want to do right now, Ash. Not to a stupid chain letter. Someone was too gullible to pick up and show everyone.
We're still fighting, but we're just blaming everything on Ash instead of Isabella.
Don't you think it's a bit too late to start laying the blame on someone else? It's not even helping at this point.
Who said anything about blaming anyone? Do you really think I don't blame myself for this as well? Isabella warned all of us. In the first place, we wouldn't even be having this problem if you'd only...
What do you want to hear from me then? If what happened last night didn't tell you how bad...
Will you get yourself together?
I don't even know what I'm fucking doing, Rebecca! Zach's in jail. Some scumbag is holding my best friend responsible for a crime he didn't commit. Isabella's never coming back, no matter how many times I apologize to her. You want me to admit it? Fine. This whole mess is tearing me apart.
I wonder what this scene would be like if it was just Zach and Ash. Would they still fight?
You should have listened. Fuck, I should have listened.
Or what if it's just Isabella and Ash?
But I just stood there, just judging her, and I'm not even sure what I'm supposed to do right now.
Meanwhile, let's not act like Rebecca did not act the same way. We both faltered to silence at my words, and an awkward, stifling mood descends between us. I do not mean to shout, to snap at her, to add to that kindling, not in a moment when any time, anywhere, she, that damn ghost, might get to one of us. We're both in the same boat, yet here we are, playing the blame game. Little by little, we're falling apart, caving into the pressure of the bleak situation we're trapped in. Did that ghost mean for this to happen? To divide each of us so she could pick us off one by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. With the fire burning between us, rising as high as it does now, I'm afraid, deathly afraid, that the possibility might come sooner than I can figure all this out. I can't even believe the next words coming out of my own mouth, that out of everyone, I have to be the one saying these to her. This is more her forte than mine, keeping the peace, placating everyone, while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have been turned after just one unfortunate incident. How am I even supposed to cope?
I swear, I'll get us out of this mess. But if we want to make it out of this in one piece, we're gonna have to calm down first.
Did we get a new graphic for this one? No, we still fought. After spending the night at the local park, Ashton and Rebecca tried to figure out what their next stop will be. However, a couple was stressed in the boat Ashton has been carrying with him. Their conversation quickly went downhill. In the end, Ashton walked out, suggesting they cool their heads first. Go in the car, slam the door with more force than needed. Angry. What am I angry at? The ghost, or sudden outburst, or maybe at myself for being useless? Because it's better not saying anything. I know, goddammit. She's still counting on me. In spite of my failures, or every harsh word I've uttered, or how unbearable I can be as a friend. It's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks and she follows me and gets in the car. It's in concerned glances she shoots my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in her silence, a heavy gift, her unwavering trust. Yet it's one I'm more than willing to carry, even through my own exhaustion, if only to keep her safe. In the city of 68,000 strangers, she's the only one I have left. Well, Zach is just like, thanks. Though in all seriousness, a good rest is still our best bet for now. So I think we're gonna head to the pub. Offers us a room at the back of the shop. We drink. I know for a fact Hannah Wright's death isn't Zach's doing. She also fell victim and died to the curse. It doesn't fall outside the realm possibility that Luke's right under it too. I might not have much time left if so. Damn it, I've been so biased, not even thinking the bastard might also be a victim. But during the open house with Isabella, they might have seen the letter and... Fuck.
Stupid.
Wait. It's not on my life on the line here, there's someone else. So...
It's because you did this.
It's all your fault. Why won't you believe me?
Reminder of what I failed to do and of who I failed. At some point, they all begin to blur together, twining and coiling, every horrid image and memory of her seeking the forefront of my mind. No matter how much I refuse to remember the fear I felt then, to push it as far back as I can, the visions come to me like a deluge. And before I know it, before I can drown, another voice pulls me out of
You're
it.
doing good there, boy.
Meeting with bartender priest.
You trying to drink your worries away? Like last time? That was screwed up. This one? Screwed up? Not by a mile. It's too early to say. You've still got several years ahead of you, Holmes. Take it easy.
Phone ringing. So when it all is with the sound of my phone ringing, a sigh is all that leaves me. So that's probably about Zach. Maybe that's where we finally get that line of dialogue. After the argument at the park, Ashton took Rebecca someplace where they could rest. G welcomed them to his pub without question. While she was sleeping, the detective and the bartender had a little chat about the past and what they changed over the years. I placed the damn thing on low volume last night, but it does nothing to keep it quiet. I don't even know if I want to answer it right now. It has brought me nothing but one bad news after another. Thinking back about it only makes me want to chuck it into the closest trash bin I can find. Not that it'll help things, of course. One person who will worry Fred or... After all, the one person who will worry your Fred over how awful I might sound right now is here with me. My parents never call around this hour, so chances are it's probably just the chief or Abigail. There's Zach, but he's in a position where contacting me is impossible. Placed in jail by some scumbag for a crime he likely didn't commit. I mean, I'm pretty sure they let you have a phone call, but maybe that's just America. And he's pretending that I'm not when it's anything
Inspector
but.
Frey speaking.
Good morning, sir. Sorry to...
What is this about?
Zach.
How?
Wait.
We can skip this part because this is the same thing we've already heard.
Officer Rance. What?
She...
I just, like, pause and skip, but Rebecca might be referenced at some point. Utterly afraid that I've lost someone in my life again. Everyone's in an uproar.
What? Don't give me how you can't.
What's...
I wish it would let us skip this. I don't really want to see the body again.
About time you.
I got...
I'm not following. And you.
Now, when I was going through this part earlier, Ashton's part, reliving all the same stuff, before the part where I saved, I had just put skip all on.
What?
Because I knew it would all be the same.
I guess he was already.
She has the means to get to us all of us bars and walls, and I'm standing. That's why, though.
No one.
Oh, what? They must. You've been. I text. Keep it. I just ordered. What else can it?
How am I supposed to tell anyone, let alone get them to believe my words? I sound like an idiot. Chief dismisses me. I thought of telling Rebecca about this. It will upset her. I don't even want to imagine what his grandparents will say. Yeah, it's definitely not letting us skip stuff we used to say before, which is so annoying. Another person brutally taken from me. Thought I had more time. Thought I'd be safe. I acted too late. An indeafening silence in my car. The only thing I'm able to do is close my eyes, rest my forehead against the cold surface of the steering wheel, and scream. Scream until my throat bleeds raw. Scream until my lungs burn. Scream until what remains of the guilt and the tears. The precinct was in an uproar when Ashton arrived. After giving a few stern words to one of the junior officers, LBD's chief inspector quietly led him to where the holding cells were, and there at the end of the hall... Did we get this image before? This looks new. The sun hangs lower when I drive back to the pub and drag myself inside, still too unsure how to break the news. Around this time, the patrons usually start to trickle into the main lounge until it reaches a peak around midnight. Today, however, it remains thin. But considering what day it isn't too worrisome for the kind of business G runs. He was always complicated about the lack of a decent crowd, always complained about the lack of a decent crowd, but he doesn't really begrudge his customers for it. No one wants to start the week off with a bad hangover at all, which makes the concerned look he gives me come off a bit too odd. With the kind of danger we're in and after what happened to Zach, this swiftly puts me on edge even before I can fully process and analyze the scene in front of me.
Something wrong, G?
Rebecca can't be fighting with Isabella. G hums, but there's an undertone of annoyance in it despite his casual and open movements. And only after he finishes wiping a tumbler and carefully settles it down, face down on the table, does he give me an answer. The way he stares back at me honestly makes me squirm. It feels like I'm being stared down by my primary school teacher for sleeping in class.
Nothing much. Monday's still a slow day for this place. But you, might want to check on your friends, kid. Looks like someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed while you were out.
Another question forms in my head along with a small confused frown. Though before a single syllable slips past my mouth, he gestures his head on the far side of the pub's main lounge. In a corner, Rebecca paces in deep thought with a scowl on her face. From the looks of it, it appears woke up on the wrong side of the bed is a complete understatement. In fact, I think she might hit the next person who tests her temper. Turns out sleep isn't just isn't what some of us need. Even G appears to understand it in spite of his efforts to look unconcerned as possible. There's a tense set on his shoulders. A nervous edge lingers in his eyes as it occasionally flickers over Rebecca. He doesn't want to deal with this, especially at the start of another busy week. Neither do I. Rebecca's moods can be quite volatile. But the imploring gaze G directs at me leaves me with no other choice. It almost feels like he's guilting me into doing something about it. I hate that it's working.
You know how I run this pub, kid. No fist fights, no cat fights, no go fit.
Yeah, I already got that part. It's probably not as petty as if Rebecca's already in that state, but I give him a nod nevertheless.
Sorry about this, G.
He hums something under his breath for an answer and waves me off, turning away and returning to his work without another word. Even with the lack of a sizable crowd, he likes to keep busy. We're the same in that regard. Can't remain still. Always has to stay moving. Doing something thinking, whatever that keeps the brain at work. I leave him to it shortly after. Part of me wants to thank him for all the trouble he has taken for people he barely even knows. Once this is over, I should probably find some way. In the meantime, I have this immediate problem to fix. Gotta get to this before it turns into a shitstorm. The air of the pub she's in is almost deserted. I'm willing to bet my entire life savings that people are staying away only because of the brewing storm. Rebecca can have quite the mood when she's crossed. Whatever pissed her off this time, the way she's glaring at the wall already says everything. I really gotta do this with just Ashton and Zach alive. Like, everything's just peaceful and nobody fights. Before I can approach and intervene, though, Rebecca soon slumps on the chair. Gingerly, she reaches up to press the bridge of her nose and breathing out a ragged exhale. She only looks like this when stress has drained with her patience and energy, usually more than her rowdy students do despite being no stranger to it. In the quietness of the room, I find myself drifting towards her and taking the empty seat next to her. Shortly, she leans her shoulder to mine like she used to all those years ago, back when all that mattered to us were grades and what kind of trouble we'd get into the next weekend. No curse, no letter, no ghosts. Just us and whatever our imagination will take us.
How are you holding up?
Barely, but I'll be fine. It's probably just this curse thing getting to me.
That bad, huh?
She makes a face, having been caught in her lie before allowing a small smile to replace it.
Excuse me, you're stuck in this nightmare too.
At least you're not shouting at anyone. That's something you don't see every day. I think you scared G for a bit there.
I just can't wait for this whole thing to be over. That way we can go back to how everything used to be.
You know that's impossible.
The truth. And we both falter into silence in the face of it. Her mouth opens briefly and I assume she's about to argue her opinion about it. Maybe say something contrary to it, but eventually she simply nods, breathes out, and relaxes her rigid posture, a rare occurrence when she almost always has something on her mind. Seeing it, a smile spreads across my face, knowing, and perhaps a little pleased. It's one thing to know of change. Watching it play out in front of me is an entirely different matter. In that one exchange, I've caught a short, clear glimpse of what has shifted, of what's inevitable. So much has changed throughout the years, we will never be the same people we once were. And perhaps it's for the better. Rebecca notices soon enough, like she always did. Whatever she sees on my face startles her, causing her to jerk away.
Why are you staring at me like that?
Nothing. Don't mind me.
I know that look, Ashton Frey. That's definitely not a nothing. You wouldn't be wearing that expression if you didn't have something on your mind.
Really? It's nothing. It's just that when we were kids, you weren't really the kind of person who spoke her mind. Someone else always had to stand up for you. You've changed a lot, Becca.
What did you expect? It's been, what, 17, 18 years?
What I'm trying to say is, I think I like this version of you more.
We're still not hooking up. A beat.
Except when you're mad, and you're yelling, and you're glaring daggers at everyone.
Look how low our relationship is.
You're pretty scary, you know.
Well, don't say that so casually. Also, if you're just going to complain, we might as well just end this talk right now.
See what I mean? Even Z-Man's scared of you. I'd bet my entire salary on it.
Probably said that without thinking. She swats at my arm, the gesture light and unfamiliar. It causes us both to burst into peals of laughter afterwards. When was the last time we shared something like this? I can't even remember. It's nice, though. Shame everyone else had to die for it to happen. To have another conversation like this, to sit side by side simply enjoying each other's company. I'm not very fond of looking back to the past. Most of it means having to remember unpleasant things for me, but sometimes, quote around the bad, there are good times. And Rebecca's there for most of it. Things may change, but her friendship is one thing I will hold dear. We may meet new people throughout our lives, but that doesn't mean I will care for her any less. Which makes the whole business with the letter even more urgent. I still have one lead. So much is at stake, I can't let this curse take another one. If such a thing makes sense when dealing with the supernatural. Tonight, by any means, I need to go back to that accursed place. Alone, because who knows what we might find in there. Whether she agrees with this plan is inconsequential. With Zach and Isabella gone, her well-being is my top priority, and I'm not about to drag her in there with me. My apprehension must have been quite obvious in my face. In a sudden motion, Rebecca reaches out and taps my arm. Although she does it gently, it startles me nevertheless, and it's enough to put a worried look on her. For a moment, she studies my face, eyes scrutinizing, searching. But before I can even avert my gaze, keep her from getting a read on me, she straightens, her worry abruptly fading into a look of disapproval.
You have a plan in mind, don't you?
It's a simple yes or no question. I can easily lie, yet her tone completely belies everything her words mean. I may as well tell her everything. When all is said and done, she's still one of the few people I trust. However, every vein in my body knows she'll be the first one to disagree, put her foot down, and stop me. And when she does, who else will be left to fix this? Her? I do understand her concerns, but there are times when they are misplaced. This complication isn't what I need at the moment. But what am I supposed to say? What is she expecting to hear from me? What answer will satisfy her? She certainly appears like she's hoping for more than a yes or no, for an answer I can't give at the moment. What else then? Keep her in the
You
dark?
don't need to worry about it.
A sigh and a lie. It's all I can offer, and hopefully this will be the last time I need to do so. That doesn't make me feel any less awful about this, though. It's worse when you know she's asking only because she's worried. Sure, I can tell her, but what good would it do? I do intend to tell G before leaving tonight. He has to know if he's going to keep an eye on her for me. One person is already enough, however. Hell, simply letting someone in on the plan makes me iffy. Broadening that circle and revealing too much would just cause another pointless concern. But someone has to be aware, at least of where I'm heading off to, in case things don't pan out. Expect the worst, even if I've only intended to do a quick survey of the place. In my own words, risky. Rebecca doesn't need to know the kind of danger I might be throwing myself in tonight. I don't even want to think what she'll say. The second she finds out, I'm doing exactly as I told her not to. She should prioritize herself and her own safety first before others. But it's never that easy with her, is it?
Ashton, if this has something to do with that letter and that bloody curse, I think this concerns me as well. I'm not asking for a thesis of whatever's going on inside that head of yours, but it'd be really nice to be informed, for once, this time.
No. Never communicate. Share nothing.
Rebecca, I'm not.
What's keeping you from saying anything now? This isn't a case anymore. You don't even have to worry about red tape or bureaucracy or everything you've been complaining about before. Those things don't matter now. If you want this thing to work, if we're going to even live through this, you need to stop keeping people in the dark, Ash.
Don't worry. She can be pretty stubborn, but she'll listen. Especially to you.
It happened again! That's not what this says! It says, what are you still expecting me to say? Zach's already gone. And if you... There's a weird dialogue crisis happening in this part of the story. Realization comes way too late. My throat closes up as soon as I realize what has just slipped out of my mouth, which is not what the text says. There was supposed to be a speech, damn it! Words carefully picked to ease people into the idea. Because despite having never grown closer with Zach unlike Isabella, he's also a friend to her. But I don't need to look at her to know how she's taking this news. There's a sorrow in her, palpable enough as soon as the meaning of what I've said sinks in. Pain I can't even hope to understand, one that we'll all deal with in our own ways. He's a loss all the same, for all of us. A thick, awkward silence hangs in the air. She's not even going to ask us about it? There are thoughts, stuff I want to say, but the words won't form, simply because uttering them is an admission. It's not even the red tape or the associated politics or my work that's the problem here. It's me. I've messed up a lot. But my friends are not supposed to be the ones taking the repercussions of my mistakes. Those are my own doing or my own responsibility. A fear, a heavy weight on my shoulders that Rebecca won't be able to grasp even with her concerns. Because all this time, she still looks to me as if I'm the same kid from years ago who she depended on when she has yet to find herself. Who she turned to for answers despite my lack of them. It makes me all the more afraid to fuck up this time. And in case I do, she's the last person I want to be with me. Getting her into trouble, getting her killed is not how I want to repay the friendship she so generously offered all these years. It's best that I simply leave things like this for now, the way I won't regret anything I might say if we push this discussion further. Without another word, I stand up. At the same time, footsteps shuffle from the pub's entrance, and cheerful chatter suddenly fills the room as a group of people enter. It's all the distraction I need. Muttering an excuse, I beat a hasty exit out of the main lounge and leave her on her own, despite the look of protest on her face. That was underwhelming. When Ashton showed up at the pub's main lounge again, he found Rebecca alone in the corner. Even without him saying anything, Rebecca knew he had a plan in mind. Something he refused to divulge, to Rebecca's irritation. When all was said and done, the woman strictly reminded him to stop keeping them in the dark. Before Rebecca could say what's on her mind, before the last frustrated glare she directs my way forces me to change my mind. It's another lasting image that firmly etches itself in my memory, one that spurs the conscious, among other things. I just hope I won't regret what I've chosen for myself tonight. Let's see where we're at time-wise. Not bad. I still gotta merge this with the other part. So I'll keep going and see if Rebecca does her confession thing. 4 hours is all I'm giving myself to get this done. Zach can't impose that time limit. Regardless of how generous that is, each second's just as important as the next. With the brief detour needed, I can't waste time dallying here. It's our detour. This is all connected. I need that damn piece of paper with me, however ridiculous it sounds. Unfortunately, it's still in the evidence lock at the precinct. Maybe that's a stroke of luck on its own. I'll find out soon enough. These are all things I think we know. Yep, in the form of a lone figure waiting for me next to my car. Rebecca does her confession. Easy to admit, I can't give her the same affection she's asking from me. We might have spent so many years alongside each other. She's a close, important friend to me, but
Rebecca,
nothing more. These are all things that we've said before.
Really sorry, Becca. I'm glad. Rebecca, you've been a good friend to me all these years. But I just don't feel the same way that you do.
It takes all of my willpower to force myself. Sure, there will be hurt. Maybe she'll even be angry, and I don't hold it against her. And sure enough, when our eyes meet again, her mouth is already settled in a tight line, and she assumes a rigid pose. There's a sharpness to her, undeniable, searing. Something that she tries to hide by hastily looking away and stepping back.
Becca, I know this...
It's all right, Ashton.
Is this because we didn't talk with Luke?
Yeah, but you should... I should...
I told you, no need. It's not like I didn't have an idea or anything. When you think about it, it's said everything, even when she's already gone. Anyway, let's just... I don't think it would do us both any good. This is going to get really awkward if we keep at it. When all has been said and done, at least I told you, right? Maybe I can finally let this whole thing go. Thanks for hearing me out, though. I won't keep you just promise me you won't do anything dumb, all right?
She doesn't wait for an answer. Instead, she flashes me one last strained smile before walking away, while the only thing I can do is watch her retreating back. In that one moment, one conversation, something also breaks between us. Something irreparable. A different kind of regret, haunting me amidst the silence of my car as I drive off and leave it all behind. The wind has already picked up upon my road. And we saw all this already. Now this time it's letting us skip. I don't know why. Yeah, same thing about the letter. See if it'll let us keep skipping. I guess this part's the same in pretty much all the playthroughs. We fall after hearing crying, end up in the dungeons. Should find Marianne's body. Yep, there it is. Nope. Yeah, nothing new there. Keep going.
Someone's dead because of you.
You're the one who took that letter off Isabella's hand that day. You're the one who opened it.
Just one different line there. I have people waiting for me. I really don't want to think what might happen. Sometimes it's the best if I simply revel in the little victories. They can't make fun of me because one of them is still alive. Hear the sobbing, sneaking through the house shifts. We're gonna end up heading up to the attic. Hear the crying, but it's Charlotte, so we don't care because she's horrible. Taser clipped on my belt is the next thing to go the moment I'm down. The sound of it sliding roughly against the wooden floor somewhere grates against my ears, along with my labored breathing. The next thing I know, a piece of cloth is closing around my neck.
This, on top of the madam's body missing from the morgue, the bratwurst's in for a real surprise when he wakes up.
That's a little bit different dialogue. What? On our right? A corpse? Missing? Must have been after I left earlier.
Go! You asshole!
Ashton Frey!
Hearing that voice, it's as if I've been doused with a bucket full of ice-cold water. Familiar. Too familiar. And more importantly, it shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be hearing it here. She shouldn't be here. She's gone. Yet it seems a part of me still hangs onto a sliver of hope that she'll still be here. So without sparing it some thorough thought, I snap my eyes open. Of course there's no one.
Did you really think she'd be here?
Except for the murmur of voices in my ears, whispering phrases as sharp as a blade, each one as scathing as the next. Words that, although I know my own friends won't even ever utter, still dig a deep wound, seeping into me as there's simply another truth. I was totally intending to cut this off, but totally forgot about
It's
it.
useless, Ashton Frey.
We repeat a lie often enough and it becomes the truth, they say, and slowly a part of me is starting to believe it. Damn it.
You are going to die.
Shut up.
I'm surprised you're still awake.
Another bout of pain erupts in my side, cutting off my words. A cry of agony bursts from my mouth. I can taste blood on my tongue as I heave, attempting to get in as much air despite the towel still coiled around my neck.
Bastard!
You're going to lose air quickly that way, Dummkopf. Better keep it shut.
Then he laughs, too cruel, too unforgiving. The wage note beats against my ears, in spite of the warmth in them, sends chills down my spine. This is a man whose hands have already been stained with blood before. He won't hesitate.
You are going to die alone.
Panic surges within me. Out of some instinct and desire to survive, I ducked. Hard, pulling him forward with me and quickly reaching over my shoulder to grab at his arm. And throwing over my shoulder with as much strength as I can muster. Something whizzes against my ears, the towel on my neck loosens, my head is pounding. In a rush of air, he lands back first on the floor with a heavy slap. Before he can even recover or make a grab at me, I'm drawing back my arm and bringing my fist down on his face. There's a moment of silence. Fuck, I can barely keep my eyes open, but in the next second, his grip on me loosens. He's out. And I'm out to. I collapsed on the floor, dazed and gasping for air. We didn't even need Isabella that time. Ashton attempted to fight back, but his attacker quickly disarmed him, looping a towel around his neck and strangling him. But just as he was about to lose consciousness, a familiar voice called out to him. Through my peripheral, through the haze of blood rushing and slowly filtering back, the butler lay still, knocked unconscious by a man half his size and half breathing.
He'll be out for a while.
I have no idea whether I should laugh or cry at that, but it's done, and slowly every tense muscle in my body eases. A long, gradual process of the tension lifting. For countless seconds I remain quiet, with only my short gasp and sighs to fill the silence, allowing the adrenaline to ebb away and my breathing to slow. Not a true repose by any means, but simply a brief respite. There's still the curse, I'm still inside the mansion in imminent danger, I still have no idea how to fix this. Outside, the rain seems to only intensify, lightning flashes fleeting somewhere, white and piercing, and the sky rumbles. No rest for the wicked. So, we're gonna end this part here. A little underwhelming, but it's just Ash and Rebecca and technically Luke. I'm gonna keep experimenting with different outcomes. I will eventually do the true ending. I'd also like to do an ending where everybody lives and is happy. I also want to do the different romance endings, but for now, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment, and bye!